Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, pilots. Thank you for joining us today on Tech Community Live. I am joined by two expert aviators. My name is Ryan Munch, and I want to introduce you to my esteemed friends, colleagues, and, as I said, expert aviators, Yanni Neve and Nick Goodman. So could I have both of you just introduce yourself and what your role is relative to Security Copilot? Let's start with you, Yanni.
Thanks. I'm Yanni Levin. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft. I'm working on threat intelligence and Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence, including the Microsoft Threat Intelligence plugin in Security Copilot. Nick, over to you.
Yeah, morning, everybody. I'm Nick Goodman. I'm a product architect for Security Copilot. Prior to that, I led engineering at a threat intelligence startup that Microsoft acquired.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I hope you brought your jet fuel. It's going to be a fun and lively session. We have two avenues for questions. First, on LinkedIn, and secondly, on Tech Community. Fire away. We are here to be the experts. Well, I am not, but my two colleagues are, to help answer any burning questions you have from Microsoft Ignite. We covered and we announced a lot of things the other week. And so there's probably some things we can help detail a bit further, help answer, or if you're bored, we can just talk about anything that's on top of mind. So with that, we have our first question, and I'm going to pass this one over to Nick. What does Security Copilot, or where does Security Copilot fit within the Microsoft security platform of products?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you all know, Microsoft Security is a platform of dozens of products. The four really pillars of Microsoft Security are Defender, Intune, Purview, and Intro. Security Copilot sits beneath all of them and within all of them. It's our AI layer empowering people to do more within all of these products. So every time you see a capability driven by generative AI, that is Security Copilot under the hood.
So in a way, Nick, is it fair to say that Security Copilot helps stitch together security narratives across Microsoft products?
Absolutely. There's an element of the security practitioner's job that's often about enriching one thing with context from something else. So this might show up to a threat analyst as needing information about a device or about a user. Security Copilot helps with that, helps stitch together the investigation, and helps provide the narrative, the end-to-end narrative of what the analyst is actually seeing.
Thank you for that insight. And so over to you, Yanni. How would you describe how Security Copilot fits in and helps with threat intelligence from your perspective and where you sit in the Microsoft product suite?
So it's interesting to see how threat intelligence ties into all the different aspects of security practitioners. I mean, whether you're a SOC analyst, an L1 analyst, or a hunter, or if you have your own threat intelligence that you need to manage, in all of those places, you need threat intelligence either to enrich what you're doing, giving more context, or even if it's in the context of the posture management, just to see what's the state of your organization. You want to be able to understand more about it so you can prioritize what you have to do. So Security Copilot gives you all this functionality and all this context within a single place. So instead of go to different places like Defender and Entra and Intune and Purview and others, in Security Copilot, you have access to all those places in a single place, and you have threat intelligence, Microsoft Threat Intelligence, that enriches all this data to give you a unified answer.
I love that perspective. It's a way to infuse and contextually include threat intelligence, as well as maybe some other areas and work streams you otherwise may not be an expert in, or have to go and navigate to some other area to incorporate that element into your investigation. I have another follow-up to that, but before I do, we have a quick reminder. If you need to ask a question, the easiest place to go to is aka.ms/AMA/Security Copilot. Yes, We're Security Copilot again. It's great. Feels good, doesn't it? All right, for our next question. How is our data protected within Security Copilot? What controls do we have? So Nick, I think I'll kick this one over to you. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Security Copilot is designed for enterprises, for organizations that operate in regulated environments, organizations that need to protect their data. So Security Copilot is designed to the Azure Enterprise standards, meaning that your data is always yours. It's protected when it's at rest, when it's in transit, it's encrypted, when it's stored, etc. So not only does it meet the standard Azure requirements, in addition, we're going to have other guarantees. Like, so for example, your data is never shared with OpenAI. It's never shared with other tenants. It is still your data, even though it is within Security Copilot. And we're seeing the fruits of this pay off. We're seeing the product used by enterprise customers, even ones in very highly regulated environments. We've started getting our certifications. As many of you know, certifications take a certain evaluation period after your product is launched in order to get the certification. We received our ISO certification this past summer. We're now part of Microsoft's HIPAA BAA for those customers who are in the HLS segment. And just recently, I believe 2-3 weeks ago, we were included in the Azure SOC 2 Type 2 report. So starting to see the certifications come along, demonstrating that we've met the standards that we say we have.
It's a long journey to bring the product from where it was to where we are now to work into those all those different environments. I think one small follow-up I have on my side, and this might help provide some additional clarity for our customers out there. As a Defender customer, and I introduce Security Copilot to my Defender stack, does it give any users of Security Copilot access to anything in Defender they otherwise wouldn't?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. So we designed Security Copilot to leverage what we call user on behalf of authentication, which is a very technical term for an amazing capability that's part of Microsoft Entra that gives the user, when they use Copilot, only access to what they already had. So Security Copilot, when it gets a request, let's say from Yoni here, it's going to make its data access requests as him and as Security Copilot. So it's authorized both as the
Perfect.
service.
Thanks for that, Nick. All right, so we have another question in chat here.
Wait, I think we're seeing a small freeze here.
Hey, everybody. It looks like we've had a couple of connectivity issues. So let me jump right into the next question here. So the question was, somebody said they keep hearing that you can get insights into threats and attack techniques. What types of insights? How much time can I save versus investigating on our own? Yoni, do we have you? I'm sorry. Okay, why don't you maybe share some of what folks can do with Security Copilot and Defender Threat Intelligence?
So, great question. In Security Copilot, there are, in general, first there's the standalone application, the Security Copilot application, and there are a lot of embedded experiences in the different security products like Defender, Entra, Intune, and others. In all of those places, you can leverage threat intelligence on the back end. The way that it works, for example, as part of the threat intelligence module in Microsoft Defender, you have a sidecar with which is the embedded experience that gives you a quick summarization and prioritization of threats related to your organizations based on the Microsoft Threat Intelligence skills. So you can have a predefined list and get any follow-up question that is interesting for your organization, if it's related to articles or to inter profiles of an actor that you're interested in, or if you just want to drill down into the latest vulnerability that was just published a few hours ago and want to understand more about its impact to your organization and to try to tie it back to an actor activity to see if you need to prioritize this or not. All of these actions you can make through the Security Copilot with the open prompt or with predefined questions. There are also a bunch of prompt books that are a part of the system, and they are very helpful to get started. For example, vulnerability impact assessment or threat actor summarization that gives you a lot of initial information to start your session, and then pivot off from there to the information that you want to focus on.
And if I can add a little bit onto that, Yoni, one of the great things about Security Copilot is it provides access to the Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence directly in the Defender portal, even without using Copilot. So customers who use that capability are going to be able to see actor profiles. They'll be able to see vulnerability intelligence, profiles about tools themselves that actors use. And all of these reports are going to include like the TTPs that people are using, IOCs and other indicators that Microsoft has observed somewhere on the internet potentially being associated with such tools. And so you get that as part of your Security Copilot license. It's also available as its own independent license for Defender customers. And as Yoni mentioned, there's a lot of great Security Copilot connections to that data so that you can use it in other parts of an investigation.
And maybe as like a quick follow-up, like how does that tie in naturally to some type of investigation for, say, something like script analysis that we have in the product?
Yeah, that's a great one. So there's going to be a few different ways this can show up. So when you do a script analysis, for those who've not used script analysis before, is where we use the LLM to help explain what's going on in a potentially malicious script. So as a user, you don't need to be able to reverse engineer PowerShell, Python, whatever. And so as you can imagine, if the script is actually malicious, it may be associated with a threat actor or with a technique or a tool that's widely used. So you can use the Security Copilot to go looking for connections back to other attack techniques, which then might help you really figure out what's the actual blast radius of the attack.
Right. And then with the natural incorporation of threat intelligence, it only adds like to the expediency of what that provides. And at the end of the day, not everyone is Jeffrey Snover. So to our next question, can Copilot support enterprise level requirements or requirements for highly regulated areas like PubSec or finance?
Yes, short answer is yes. Security Copilot can meet these requirements. And I'll primarily point to the fact that we have a variety of customers in those sectors using Security Copilot. And Ryan, I know you speak with a lot of these customers. What have you heard from people in those segments who've considered adopting Security Copilot?
Yeah, I mean, I will add that when it comes to financial customers, it's actually been one of our strongest customer segments because of the nature of where they sit and the type of threats that they face. They're looking for every advantage, and using Security Copilot certainly helps against that for the things that both of you just recently articulated. When it comes to things like PubSec and where we're headed for other regulations, it's a matter of time. But what we've seen with customers is that they usually are segmented in some way where there's some certain area of the business that they can get started with Security Copilot today, even if it's something just like turning on a single SCU and getting threat intelligence incorporated into the rest of their security stack in Microsoft.
Yeah, and for those who are looking for this answer for Microsoft's more secure environments, the GCCs and things like that, please reach out to your account rep. Those environments, there's a lot of nuance with where you are, and we'd love to make sure that we answer that question accurately for you. And it's going to be specific enough to you that we want to talk to you individually about it. I'm curious, I know you mentioned financial industry, Ryan. What are other market segments that we're seeing traction with Security Copilot in?
We've seen a lot with some of our tech customers, or those that operate primarily as what people would traditionally view as a tech company. Early adopters, market leaders, those that really like to step into like the next wave, or really like the the forefront of evolution in terms of how we think about security, how we handle security, and what AI can do inside of security. It's been an incredible journey just to see the different types of customers and the segments of customers adopt it. The other one I think that's pretty notable, and we even have some case studies produced against these customers, are our higher education customers. Oregon State University, they came and they talked at Ignite last week, and there's actually a study you can go and view in terms of what the impact has had for them. And I think it's, especially in higher education in the United States, it's incredible because of not only like the challenge they face, which oftentimes can mirror what you see inside of the federal space, where you have a lot of different sensitive areas that mirror that of what you see in other areas of government. But you also have an incredible mix of different personalities and capabilities of the analyst, whether it's a student getting started as a summer job for the first time in security, or you have the admin that's been working in that university for years, and they are now picking up a new avenue or new perspective on security for the first time. So seeing the fusion and collision of different perspectives, different expertise, as well as like how it's causing them to just change their work, even for something like you talked about with script analysis, it's been a fascinating journey to behold, especially in higher ed. All right, looks like we have another question coming in from formerly called Twitter. Does Security Copilot use ChatGPT?
Yeah, I'll take that one. No, Security Copilot does not use ChatGPT. Security Copilot uses LLMs from OpenAI, as well as some AI models developed at Microsoft. So we do not use ChatGPT, and in particular, this is important because we use our own versions of OpenAI's models running on our own infrastructure that is private to Security Copilot. So there is no retraining of models going on. There's no leakage of data out of Security Copilot back into OpenAI's systems. There's no way that what you type into Security Copilot or your data that Security Copilot reasons over gets back into ChatGPT, which is a major reason for enterprise customers to use a product like Security Copilot, where you're sure that whatever you're putting into the system remains private to you.
And piggybacking off of your earlier answer, where you say Security Copilot is a platform and enabler for different experiences across Microsoft, would it be fair then to characterize Security Copilot as an AI orchestration engine that then leverages individual models for the best task at hand or best response it needs to provide, however it's used?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Security Copilot is more powerful than a single AI model doing a single thing. It is able to reason over a variety of tasks. It's used for a variety of tasks. And there are dozens of Microsoft security products and research groups working with Security Copilot to apply it to problems specific to the domain of an area that our customers really care about.
Awesome. Thanks for that context, Nick. Let's move on to our next question on combining words. I need more jet fuel. Another question coming in from tech community. What resources are available to federal agencies to help them understand the risks and benefits of Security Copilot to help them overcome the risk-averse culture that is present towards generative AI and enabled solutions?
Yeah, so let's talk first about resources that are available to everybody, which I think are going to be relevant to folks interested in the federal space. So on learn.microsoft.com, you'll find documentation about Security Copilot. That covers how we do privacy, how we do security, what are our standards, how the product works, how we ensure trust and quality, etc. So that answer is going to be relevant to everybody, including people interested in this question for the federal space. Obviously, the federal space is special, and there are lots of nuances, and so we would want to speak directly with whoever is asking this question, and anybody interested in this type of question about your space in particular, what you're wanting to do. Obviously, everything that we have posted publicly is relevant to understanding this question, but we can help further if we chat with you privately.
So it sounds like if you're in the federal space, you know, I have two questions for your account team to ask about Security Copilot. So reach out and ask for a meeting with them. And then for everyone at home, let's just a reminder on the URL. It is aka.ms/securitycopilot.docs, DOCS. Go and check that out. You'll see a lot of resources that Nick has talked about there at your fingertips to go and use and get some additional Security Copilot context. All right, our next question in from LinkedIn. Are there any humanoid robots using Copilot? Are there any 2025/2026 releases we can expect of the Security Copilot platform?
I cannot speak for humanoid robots. Please ask them directly. I can talk about future releases a little bit. So yes, Security Copilot continues to evolve. Those of you who've been following our journey, we started in pure security operations. All we did initially was security operations. We've always intended to do way more than just security operations, but that's where we started because we needed something. It was a great space to start. The problems are big. They're worth solving. People absolutely can be more efficient and move faster against threat actors. But as we released that, we've also moved into device management, into vulnerability intelligence, vulnerability management, into user security, data governance, identity security and management, et cetera. So we're continuing to broaden and deepen the product. So you can think about it as the strategy of let's make Security Copilot, make all of the people in the security organization, the broad security organization, as effective as possible. And let's make the product more and more capable over time so that those people can focus their abilities on the toughest problems.
And just to make sure we cover all our bases, Yanni, no humanoid robots on the threat intelligence side either?
Not that we can talk about, no.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Next question from LinkedIn. Is there a plan to create any partner-specific APIs for Security Copilot?
Yeah, it's also a good question. So Security Copilot has a variety of partners already. There's been massive interest from partners, everybody from software companies building net new security products to established mature software vendors to service providers attempting and wanting to build on top of Security Copilot. Today, we expose all of the capabilities we use internally are exposed to our partners who build on top of us. And so I've not yet heard anybody ask for specific new APIs. That's certainly something we'd be willing to consider. We're always looking for ways to make partners more successful. And so we involve partners in all of our private previews and involve them as design partners when we're considering the product roadmap. We had a group of partners here on site in Redmond about a month ago as we discussed what we wanted to do in the next 12 months. So absolutely open to considering new APIs and new requirements that enable partners to be more effective.
So as a follow-up then, go ahead, Yanni.
Sorry, just like to add to that, there is already a capability to utilize Security Copilot through Logic Apps, meaning you can already use that to create your own kind of automations, and that serves as an API for any intent from that perspective as well. Meaning, in Security Copilot, you don't need multiple APIs. You just can ask a question and get an answer, and then format the answer with any follow-up capability that you have. We have some customers that are already asking about multi-step Logic App built on top of Security Copilot. So the prompt of one response, and then the response of that is the input for the next prompt. So this can already be utilized today with Logic Apps.
That's a great call out. So if you want to see some of those examples, we actually have them live on our GitHub repo. Search for that within Bing, Security Copilot, GitHub repo, and you'll see a few Logic apps that do just that. And it's a great opportunity for partners to expand upon and build their own solutions. For anything that's more granular to what Nick was articulating, be sure to reach out to your customer experience engineering team leads. work with them. They'll take your feedback and get that back to Nick and team to help incorporate those design goals. All right, for our next question, this one comes in from our tech community. Is Microsoft supporting or leveraging the NIST AI risk management framework to document the risks and risk mitigations from deploying Security Copilot?
Yeah, this is a good question. Obviously, things like standards frameworks are useful for customers wanting to evaluate the impact of something. So I'm only going to talk about Security Copilot, not other copilots at Microsoft. Security Copilot is built to Microsoft's responsible AI standards, and that is actually true for all of our copilots. We're built to the Microsoft responsible AI standards. And we integrate with products like Purview and its ability to audit AI. And so I don't actually know whether or not how our standards fit in with the NIST one specifically, but the idea is that Microsoft standards look across the landscape of what's out there in across industry and government and international standards, and look to accomplish the broadest set of things so that we inside Microsoft implement to our internal standard, and that meets the set of international standards that we're looking to achieve. And so if you really want to see the details of what we're doing, take a look at our responsible AI standards that's published online. It's actually something that you can implement yourself if you're an AI builder or a company or enterprise looking to release your own AI capabilities. And so you can see what we do, and you can apply it inside your own organization if you'd like as well.
And I think what I'd add to that too is Nick, you articulated a little bit earlier about how Security Copilot is different from the ChatGPT question, where we use custom AI models that is specific to and works with and maintains the very stringent and well-controlled Azure AI data policies when it comes to AI use. So part of what the NIST standard addresses is the concept of using an off-the-shelf model or something like a ChatGPT that would be able to train off of your data. So when you're considering what you could do with Security Copilot, you're looking at that standard. Take into consideration what Nick just articulated. Look at Microsoft Learn for what we do when it comes to data privacy, and consider all those things holistically in your AI strategy and AI deployment strategy. All right, to our next question. To use Security Copilot for threat intel, Yanni, this one's going to you. Are you ready? Do I have to have Defender TI, or are there Copilot threat intel capabilities I can utilize elsewhere, like maybe Intune or Defender external attack surface management?
So great question. So as part of Security Copilot, one of the benefits is that you're getting full access to threat intelligence, which means MDTI as well, Defender Threat Intelligence. Once you purchase even one SEU, and from that moment on, you have access to the entire Defender Threat Intelligence through Security Copilot. Other than that, you'll see more and more embedded experiences, such as Intune or such as leveraging data from Defender EASM as part of the threat intelligence module. Actually, EASM is a great example, because one of the new announcements that we just made was about a new unified CVE skill that gives you a comprehensive answer as to what we as Microsoft know about the vulnerability and that impact of the vulnerability on your organization. We're bringing in data from MDTI, from Threat Analytics, which is the main module of threat intelligence within Microsoft Defender, MDVM, the Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management, and EASM. That's the, for anyone that doesn't know, that's the Defender External Attack Surface Management, looking at your organization from the outside in. This brings you a comprehensive, very unique 360 view, because you have the list of assets that are relevant, meaning exposed to this vulnerability, from an outside in view and from within through the MD agent installed on the organizational assets.
So effectively, CVEs is what an attacker would see if they're trying to look at your infrastructure. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah, that would be like your let's call it your gaps in your organizational security infrastructure that gives those hosts to go through to them to other places and compromise your assets.
Awesome. Thank you for that expansion. I got two follow-ups. First one goes to you, Yanni, and then Nick, I have a thought here for you as well. So when it comes to MDTI access, is that just for one user? Is that for 5 users? What does that access mean, and like how does everyone get it?
So there, I don't remember exactly how many users does it involve. I think
I think I know the answer to this one.
Ah,
So with Security Copilot, like you said, one of the great benefits of Security Copilot is the Defender Threat Intelligence is included as part of the license. That is access for all of your people who have a Security Copilot access.
Everyone.
Also automatically get access to Defender Threat Intelligence, both through Security Copilot and through Defender, the Defender portal itself.
So if I'm a Security Copilot user, I not only get that in prompting the threat intelligence, but I can log on to, I think, what's called the Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence Workbench and access that as well.
security.microsoft.com.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's part of the Microsoft Defender. There's a module called Threat Intelligence, and all the data is there. There's a unification of the Threat Analytics module with the MDTI data that gives you access to everything, all the interprofiles, the articles, tools, actors, and of course IOCs with vast information of data sets, which includes DNS resolutions, who is information, host pairs, certificates. So for advanced investigations, you have all the information there just for your usage.
Wow. So for one SCU, you can add in as many users as you want and get free threat intelligence. It's incredible. One design-related decision, Nick, this has obviously existed in the product for a while. Can you maybe talk about what the product team decision was to include threat intelligence like this and what the inspiration was behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Security Copilot just celebrated its 2nd internal birthday at Microsoft. We were founded right before Thanksgiving 2022. And in the earliest days, we were deciding which problem space to go after first. And security operations, incident response, threat hunting rapidly emerged for a variety of reasons as the place we were going to focus. And we felt very strongly that threat intelligence was critical for the context and situational awareness of the people doing those roles that I mentioned. That if you have the appropriate context, incidents make more sense and they're easier to resolve more effectively. And if you have situational awareness of what's going on in the world, you're going to be better prepared for dealing with the attacks against your organization. And so as a result, we decided to bundle the Security Copilot, I may be using the wrong term there, but include with Security Copilot access directly to the threat intelligence so that we could provide that enrichment of context. And decided at the same time to go ahead and provide the people using Security Copilot access to threat intelligence in the Defender portal. This is both from their effectiveness perspective and also because it's important in AI to demonstrate to people where the information came from, where your conclusion came from. So it's more trustworthy to say, oh, here's a summary of TTPs that makes us think that this is related to this threat. And here's the link to the article where you can go read it yourself and you can go see the details. That's more trustworthy than just saying, oh yeah, we have some data we're not going to show you. Trust us that it's related. So it was foundationally to create user trust with the answers, as well as to make analysts, threat hunters, incident responders just able to do their jobs more effectively.
So I think what I'm hearing is enable the users to learn more about threat intelligence, allow them to trust the results of what is being generated for the product versus having a black box AI solution.
Exactly.
And then the final component is threat intelligence is really a core tenet of what the product provides.
Absolutely.
Use threat intelligence into everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Next question in from LinkedIn. Can we integrate Security Copilot with other things like MS SIM?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a couple ways of integrating with other products. First, if you want to integrate Security Copilot with Sentinel, Microsoft SIM, we now support that out of the box. Customers who use the Defender Unified Portal will notice that that portal includes both traditional Defender incidents as well as Sentinel data. And so that is a capability that Security Copilot's had for a long time. In addition, at Ignite, we announced that we have a native Sentinel integration now. In addition to those, broadly, if you want to integrate Security Copilot with one of your tools, we support logic apps to connect. We support a plugin mechanism where you can build your own capabilities, and that could bring data into Security Copilot to reason. That could allow you to do your own reasoning on capabilities. We support connectors like Kusto and KQL, where you can plug a KQL query in. We support REST APIs, Swagger-based APIs, etc.
All right, so what I'm hearing is multiple different ways to connect something in if something doesn't exist. If not, keep an eye out for what our partners are releasing, or whether internal or external, and you'll see that eventually emerge in the product or in those respective portals.
That's right.
All right, our next question reads, maybe this is too simple. Well, there's nothing too simple here that we will not answer. But what are the prerequisites for Security Copilot? We're a smaller company and don't utilize a large catalog of security products.
Yeah, I love this question. So Security Copilot reasons over data. And it's not going to be effective as a product unless you have security data for it to reason over. Today, our strongest pillar integrations for getting security data to reason over are with Defender, Sentinel, Intune, Entra, and Purview. So if you're using those products, or even one of those products, that's where to start. If you're not using one of those products, it is certainly possible to integrate with Security Copilot, but it's much more of a choose your own adventure, build it yourself, connect the data in. You're going to get out of the box product integrations with those 5 Microsoft products. So that's where you're going to want to start. You'll be able to, you can see what we already have out of the box use cases, et cetera, on our public web pages, our Learn documentation, our websites that have case studies, et cetera. And that's probably where you want to start, is making sure that you've got one of those data sets in place. If not, still go take a look at that content. You can see, hey, what are others doing, and determine whether or not it makes sense for you to investigate obtaining one of those products in order to be able to do those use cases.
Great perspective there. So take a look at what you have across your security portfolio, rationalize the plugins, and then rationalize like what you could eventually integrate with, whether building a custom plugin or building out a logic app, as you talked about. Yanni, as like a follow-up to this, how important would it be for a small organization that doesn't have a lot of security products to go out and get something like threat intelligence by just using Security Copilot?
I think it still makes sense from the perspective of just getting a lot more context to the alerts that you are investigating, even if it's not through Defender but through other products. You'll still get the overall context. It can be even as simple as getting more information about a vulnerability that just came out, or finding an IOC and then finding out that that IOC is related to an actor, and then you'd want to understand how relevant it is to your organization. Again, even if it's in a small organization, that helps you a lot with prioritization. Especially as a small organization, you probably have a small team of security professionals. That means that their time is even more valuable and even more constrained. So prioritization is a key here, and threat intelligence is doing exactly that.
It's a great place to get started with threat intelligence if you don't already have threat intelligence of some sort in your organization, no matter the size, or if you're a larger one, there's no such thing as too much threat intelligence. All right, for our next question, I think you mentioned this earlier, but can you create a JSON plugin for custom needs?
Yeah, so I think what the person asking this is asking about is probably like the OpenAI spec plugins, which are JSON format. And the short answer is yes, we do support the OpenAI plugin format. There's a little additional metadata that we require, but it follows the same pattern as OpenAI. So we support that format. We also support you to bring your own KQL, and we support you to bring a REST API.
Awesome. Thanks for that context, Nick. Maybe to add on a little bit more, isn't it also true that the product team went out and extended the OpenAI plugin format to provide some additional capabilities and more powerful interoperability between?
Yeah, those help our system reason about the capabilities of your plugin and when to use it to solve and what problems it's useful for solving.
Okay, that's awesome. Appreciate that context. All right, let's see if we have another question here in the chat. If not, oh, here we go. All right, what type of data sets does Security Copilot bring in for threat intelligence? Yanni, I think that one's queued up for you. We'll start with you first.
So I'll try to make it short because we have a lot of those. I can talk for an hour just on all the data sets. In general, we have a lot of information that we're collecting from different sources, including from the open web and of course from Microsoft Research. Microsoft Research is a huge organization of about 10,000 researchers that are working day and night on finding out the next detection, on finding out the next attack pattern, on finding out the new infrastructure of a new actor or an updated infrastructure of an existing actor. That is a very large set of constant training and constant following up on the latest and greatest threat landscape. The result of that, of those two places, is that you have a lot of information that is coming in from Microsoft Research, which are all those articles about the latest threat attacks or new attack patterns, interprofiles, which are basically profiles of either actors or tools or vulnerabilities, and that is all part of the different profiles that you can reach out to. And also it also includes all the indicators that can be exposed to customers. Some of them are you will see in other places. Some of them are only you will see them only from Microsoft. It is important to understand that we are part of the larger ecosystem of threat intelligence, meaning you will see indicators that appear in other vendors as well. Not all of them, of course, but parts of them. Our focus is mainly on the most critical parts, which means the adversaries, mainly on nation state adversaries, on PSOAs, on nation state attacks, on cybercrime in large scale. And as a result of that, we have a lot of detailed information on those attacks and the derivatives. The derivatives are, just like I mentioned before, on each and every indicator, a set of indicators. You have all the data that was crawled from the web, meaning data sets that keep updating on a continuous basis for resolutions, host pair certificates, and so on, which gives you a lot of way to pivot the information to find out for sophisticated ways for phishing, for example. Host pairs is a great example for that, or for finding out an infrastructure. A lot of the logic apps that I mentioned before are about getting a domain and then translating it to an IP, and then from that IP, that's the infrastructure of the actor in that case, finding out all the relevant domains that are registered on that IP and checking which of those already have some footprint in your organization, in your telemetry. All of this is part of the ecosystem, meaning a lot of those prompt books that I mentioned earlier are not just threat intelligence. It's threat intelligence utilizing the Microsoft security product, meaning, for example, threat intelligence question about an indicator that leads to checking if that indicator already resides in your telemetry via advanced hunting. And then and that means building the KQL automatically, running that KQL automatically, and if there is a result, also summarize this in a report already built out for you. That whole set of actions is done automatically with those prompt books, or can be done automatically with tailoring your own prompt book, all in the same place, instead of, again, going to multiple different places, or or extracting your own like defining your own KQL and so on. So
Yeah.
that's all part of it. Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of data sets. Probably well more than we were expecting in that answer. So if you didn't catch all that, we actually have a handy link for you, aka.ms/security copilot/unified threat intel. So Nick, after hearing that, where would you maybe start to like dive into those data sets in Security Copilot?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's a lot going on in threat intelligence, many data sets, many of which are relevant. But not every data set is relevant to every single question. One of the things I love about Defender Threat Intelligence is this reputation lookup for an entity, a domain, an IP, a host. And Security Copilot takes advantage of this so that you can ask it, what threat intelligence do you have about this? And it will come back and say, oh, that is a potentially malicious IP address because of, and it will list out, give me a nice bulleted format. Here's why. And again, it's backed by all of that threat intelligence. And with a link, I can simply click over and go see all of the details and do more investigation as I need. It's also probably a great time to mention our partners. One of the areas that we've seen a ton of partner interest is in threat intelligence. So as Yoni was talking about it, you all probably heard the spectrum of threat intelligence ranges from nation states all the way down to individual data points. And because of that breadth of information out there, there's tons and tons of great companies and organizations producing threat intelligence along that spectrum. Many of them are partnering with us to help provide information. We've seen a lot of traction so far, especially in like the tactical threat intelligence. What do you know about this? What's a port scan on that, etc. So you'll see those on our partner integrations page and in the product itself.
Very cool. And there's plugins ready to go. Go ahead, Yoni. Sorry.
Just like to add to that, we are also aware that, just like Nick mentioned, that basically there are also different personas here that will be interested in different parts of the information. A file is a great example. A file, you can ask a simple question: is this malicious or not? I just want a simple answer, yes or no, or highly suspicious or not suspicious at all. But it can be as elaborate as, let's give you the full detonation report of that file, including all the related PE header information with all the related domains and all the hashes that are related to this hash, with all the related actors, interprofiles, and other indicators that are related to the infrastructure of the indicator that came from, including the CTC server that sent that in the first place. It's just a matter of, well, basically, how deep the rabbit hole you want to dive into.
Thank you. That's helpful context. This next question, I think I'm going to paraphrase a bit, but it comes from LinkedIn. Will Copilot help with streamlining in Microsoft XDR space, where we've seen a large gap in inventory and security recommendations? So this to me seems like the embedded experience and how that ties into an investigative process. Nick, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So in the Defender XDR space, Security Copilot is designed to facilitate investigations, primarily for SOC analysts, to streamline their operations, make it easier for them to do their jobs, reduce cognitive load, be able to catch things that are hard to find. And so we tackled that initially by having capabilities like script analysis. we call incident summarization. It's the ability to streamline your investigation by getting a quick on-the-screen summary of what's actually already happened in the investigation, what we call guided response, the ability to see what's a recommended next step based upon what Microsoft has observed in the past with this type of attack. And then impact analysis, blast radius analysis by bringing threat intelligence into the investigation itself. So that's how the product's really designed to streamline detection and response. If I'm understanding the question correctly, that's how we handle it.
Yeah, I think that the heart of the question is to ask, well, how does Security Copilot help facilitate response in Defender XDR? You talked about it with incident summarization, the incident report, and then from gaining that initial understanding, then deriving where to go next, or even have the suggestions of what to take next, and thus like expediting your either understanding or rationalization of next steps. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here coming in. If not, I'm going to pivot into a few other things that we can talk about.
Actually, I've got a question for you, Ryan.
Oh, all right, I'm ready.
Steal the hat here, or steal the steering wheel. One thing we've not talked about today is automation. I know you talk with a lot of customers. I'm curious if you can share some of where our customers are having success with automation and Security Copilot.
Yeah, actually, Yanni brought it up, and I don't think we have really pulled on that thread a whole lot. So thank you for diving into it. We talked about logic apps and some of the advantages of being able to work directly with Security Copilot, from either invoking individual plugins or providing it the opportunity to work with a multitude of plugins. Where are some of the best successes we have? You can actually find on our GitHub repo. Take a look at that, look at the logic apps, look at some of the other things we've built there. But I think the most successful one we have to date, and the URL here at the bottom is github.com/azure/security-copilot. It's actually the phishing logic app, and it was built by two of our, I think, best and most esteemed colleagues, Craig Freeman and Yaniv. Like, they have put out two excellent examples. One works with the process of triaging the initial email, running through the threat intelligence, running in two cases, either one, the URLs and looking at those individual data points, or two, looking at the attachments and rationalizing that against a detonation pathway. Taking that result, putting it into an email, and then sending it out in two forms. One form goes to the end user, so they get a instantaneous feedback of, well, I submitted this fish. Is this a bad fish? What should I do with this email? Do I click all the links? Do I download all the attachments? Well, no, probably not. But this really provides that second level of assurance. And then the other email then goes out to the security team, where they can then rationalize exactly all the indicators that were presented, but then also get a link back to Security Copilot to extend the investigation if they want. So it shows like a different way in which generative AI is actually aiding what has been a long time triage process by not only streamlining the element of understanding the indicators, one, but two, something we really haven't done a whole lot with before, which is understanding the intention of the language in an email and to derive what exactly they're attempting to do, whether it's just a simple, kind-hearted, benevolent investment or an extortion or otherwise. All right, so I think we're now at the point where we got about 7 minutes left. So that leaves us to our final thoughts. I'm going to put on my best thinking hat here and then turn it over to Yanni first. Yanni, is there anything you want to leave our audience with here today in terms of what they should think about with threat intelligence or Security Copilot?
Well, first I should have brought my thinking hat as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that seeing the customer attempts when trying to start working with Security Copilot is to try to think about those use cases, those scenarios that are now basically spending the most amount of time in your security operations. I mean, that will be the easiest way to see how Security Copilot can really help you, not just in intelligence, also in threat intelligence, but in general. If you try to focus on those places, it's always there. Either if it's related to triaging a certain type of incident like phishing or other, or if it's related to trying to catch an indicator and understand what it really means, or trying to prioritize your next patch in your on your Windows assets, or other types of posture related activities. There's always this activity that takes too much time, too much manual labor, and when you try to do it with Security Copilot and try to basically like human-based automate that, and that's what's a big part of Security Copilot really is for you. You'll see that it accelerates the work, and it minimizes the time, and it reduces the amount of human errors related to that. For threat intelligence, once you understand that you're getting as part of Security Copilot all the goodness of the Microsoft Threat Intelligence, then it's also really helpful to understand the value that you're getting right out of the box by asking those questions, or by getting the context, even if it's simplified context of, hey, what's the reputation of this indicator, or as sophisticated as, show me the latest threats related to my organization because I am healthcare in UK. So what can you tell me about that? So I think when we combine all of this, then it's really easy to start your journey there.
All right, and then final thoughts then over to you, Jake. Anything to add before we wrap here?
Well, at the end of the day, security organizations, what we're really doing is helping our companies, our enterprises, our nonprofits, our government entities do their actual mission effectively and safely, and continuing to do it. That's why we're here. On our team, we believe that AI is going to be transformative for the people doing those jobs and for the organizations, and for really fulfilling their underlying mission.
Awesome. That's a perfect thought to end on. We appreciate you sticking with us this early or late in the day, pilots. Thank you for watching. Up next is the much cooler team and an assembly of people. Please follow along for the Microsoft Interest Suite. You can view that at aka.ms/AMA/interest suite. And so we wish you well on your Copilot journey and your foray into generative AI. It's been great. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time, pilots.
Bye, everybody.